Hey everybody, welcome to the Valeries book series. I'm Christina Kristina. Welcome to the Valeries book series. This is where we read book and talk about books. No special effects, no special things going on here. I've got this. Please like and subscribe. I've got this fantasy of having a Christmas miracle, of getting 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. And I thank you all that have subscribed already, but I do need 900 more. So if you could help me out, I'd appreciate it. Spread the word. Don't forget about Star Trek Friday and Flashback Mondays. Although with the decorations, I don't know how I'm gonna reach most of my books, but I'm gonna try. I've also got. I would. Oh shoot! Put the road before she disconnects me. My little tree here. I would turn it on, but then you can't see it. See, then you can't see it. So put my pal back there. So we're doing 30 days of Janet Evanovich. I always tell people that if you're going through a rough patch and you're coming out the other end of it and you need an excuse to laugh, these are the books to get you through it. And I love the audiobooks, and we're doing Hard 8. I didn't realize how old this set was. Hard 8. Okay. Some of them I have burned. Some of them are on Audible. But Lorelei King is the greatest. I love her to death. And I listen to these books via audio. That's the way you can get a full appreciation for them. So we have some new characters. A new permanent character. Would you stop? Sorry. A new permanent character. Rob Clune. We'll get to him in a minute. So Stephanie has an FTA. I should go back and say that we have Joe is a police officer. He's an on-again, off-again boyfriend. Ranger is special forces and security consultant, and an on-again, off-again boyfriend. We have her mom. We have her dad. We have Lula, her co-worker. We have Connie, the office manager. We have Vinny, her boss, and her cousin. And we have Eddie Gazzara, a cop friend, and Costanza, also a cop friend. We also have Randy Briggs, who shows up once in a while. And Tank works for Ranger, and Hector works for Ranger. We will be seeing them. So I just wanted to get through that. Okay, so Stephanie has an FTA. She's after Martin Poulsen. He weighs almost 300 pounds, and she's been trying to get him, and it doesn't work. So she goes to a dinner for her parents for dinner, and Valerie's there, and she's getting depressed. Angie is 9, and Mary Alice is 7. And sometimes this horse reindeer stuff gets a little old. I think it gets carried on a little too long. I'm surprised what the kids are doing, but anyways. Mabel, the neighbor, calls Stephanie while she's at dinner. Her granddaughter Evelyn had a custody bond on the kid Annie when she got divorced, and Les Sebring has the bond. And this was a new thing for Stephanie, so PBUS, which, as you know, is the Professional Bail Agents Association, worked with the Center for Missing and Exploited Children to get legislation going that would discourage parents from kidnapping their own kids. It's a pretty simple idea. If it looks like there's a good chance either or both parents will take off with the child for parts unknown, the court can impose a cash bond. So this is like a criminal bail bond, but it's a child who's at risk. with one big difference, Sebring said. When a criminal bond is posted by a bail bondsman and the accused fails to appear in court, the bondsman forfeits the bond amount to the court. When the bondsman can count down, then the bondsman can hunt down the accused, return him to the system, and hopefully he'll be reimbursed by the court. If the case of a child custody bond, the bondsman forfeits the bond to the wrong parent. The money is then supposed to be used to find the missing child. Exactly. The problem is, unlike a criminal bond, the child custody bondsman doesn't have the legal right to hunt down the child. The only recourse the child custody bondsman has to recoup his loss is to foreclose on the property or cash collateral posted at the time the bond is written. And her mother had forfeited her house. So there's a big thing about the house. So then, you boy, are you mushy today? I don't know what's up with your butt. So she goes to, I don't know if you can see that. My whole screen just flashed in front of my eyes because my cat walked over my computer. So she goes to check out Evelyn's house and she runs into Carol Natick, the neighbor. Carol said the husband, Soto, was a verbal abuser, and that's why they got the divorce. So Lula is going to night school with them. Stephanie and Lula go to see Les Sebring, and he tells them about the custody bond. Then they go visit to her husband's bar. Steven Soto owns a bar, and he's angry. And then they go visit Soto's divorce lawyer, Dickie Orr, and they don't get much information from him. And Dickie Orr is Stephanie's ex-husband. He's the guy that Stephanie found with Joyce Barnhart on the dining room table. So they continue the search for Evelyn, and then while they're searching Evelyn's house, Lula accidentally breaks the window. She does that quite often. You'll see that often in the books. There's a kid's picture that will come into play later on. Then Eddie Abruzzi and his men arrive and say that this house belongs to them, that the people in it were renting, Evelyn was renting from them, and that he owns it, and then they need to stay out. And apparently he's got something in this too. So he's upset with Stephanie because she got Ramirez killed, and he owned Ramirez, and Ramirez was making Abruzzi money. So we'll see how that goes. Connie gives Stephanie 2 skips, Laura Manello and Andy Bender. She goes to Bender first, and they go a few times with an audience of groups selling stuff, and they give Bender the car keys, and he drives off. Ranger shows up. She asks him to help out with the Evelyn situation. She then tells him about Abruzzi, and Ranger tells her that he's a loan shark. He's a war game studies military strategist. So I wanted to mention this quickly because I just can't do these, like my Janet Evanovich's, I just can't do these books without reading. So I tucked the 2 files into my bag. Maybe you could run Evelyn Soto through the computer and see if you could pull out her Innermost Secrets. Innermost Secrets is a 48-hour search. Put it on my tab. I have to take off. I need to talk to the wizard. The wizard hasn't been answering his page, Connie said. Tell him to call me. The wizard is Ranger. He's the wizard because he's magic. He mysteriously passes through locked doors. He seems to read minds. He's able to refuse dessert, and he can give me a hot flash with the touch of a fingertip. I had mixed feelings about calling him. We were currently in a strange place, with the double entendre and unresolved sexual tension, and we were also partners of sorts, and he had contacts I never have. The anti-search would go much easier if I brought Ranger in. So then he tells her about a war game study military strategy. When it first started, it was a bunch of guys in a room pushing toy soldiers around on a map on the table, like the board game Risk or Axis or Allies. Imaginary battles are constructed and fought. A lot of gamers play by computer now. It's Dungeons and Dragons for adults. I'm told the Bruzy takes it seriously. So he tells her about that. So then there's another cute conversation with Morelli. I think you're crazy. Yes, besides that, you think I'm cute, right? I gave him my Miss America smile and flooded my lashes. He glanced over at me, stone-faced. I was feeling a little like Scarlett O'Hara at the end of Gone with the Wind, when she's determined to get Rhett Butler back. Problem was, if I got Morelli back, I wasn't sure what I'd do with him. Life is complicated, I said to Morelli. He says, no shit, cupcake, and leaves. So, then I have to catch up with myself here. So then she goes back and talks to Carol, and Stephanie asks if Annie played with any kids in the neighborhood, and she says she thought she played with the one who thought she was a horse a lot. So Stephanie's like, oh, my niece. So she goes and questions Mary Alice. Then she talks to Jean Ellen. Jean Ellen will become a little bit of a contentious. She's a very good bond enforcer. She sometimes works with Ranger, and Stephanie is jealous of Jean Ellen, just like she's jealous of Terry Gilman with Ranger. I've got two kitties here. Then she goes to the office to talk to Connie and Lula about Jean Ellen. Then she goes home. Someone puts a bag of snakes in her car. Carl Costanza shows up and thinks she's kidding about snakes. Then he sees, no, calls animal control, and then Joe shows up. She tells him about her day, and he tells her to stay away from Abruzzi. Albert comes to visit, and he brings a pizza. He talks her into letting him join her, and they go after Bender, and Bender escapes. Go figure. Then she talked to Grandma Azura about Steven Soda. She heard at a viewing, and again, in the Berg, social entertainment and where your gossip comes from is the beauty parlor, bingo, the deli, the bakery, and viewings. Viewings are a big form of entertainment in the early hours of the evening, especially for Grandma Mazur. So Grandma Mazur calls Stephanie and says that Steven Soda likes to gamble, and he lost his bar in a card game to Abruzzi. So apparently Abruzzi wants more than he's letting on to Stephanie. So then she talks to Ranger about Jean Allen. He gives a little info. Then she goes after Bender again. She cuffs him to her car with a long chain, and Bender gets in the car and drives off with it. So there's this cute little interaction with Morelli and Clown. Now, Clown is going to be a new permanent character in the books. He goes, oh, geez, I didn't know you used to live together. Clown said, hey, I'm not trying to cut in on anything. We just work together, right? Right, I said. So is this the guy you're engaged to? Clown asked. A smile twitched at the corner of Morelli's mouth. You're engaged? Sort of. I said, I don't want to talk about it. Morelli reached into the bag and selected a donut. I don't see a ring on your finger. I don't want to talk about it. Clown's voice was apologetic. She hasn't had any coffee yet. Morelli took a bite of donut. You think coffee will help? They both looked at me. I pointed stiff arm at the door. Out! You gotta love it. So, later on, Lula and Clown and Stephanie go after Bender. He takes a shot at them. They lose Bender again. She mentions when she mentions then they go to Soda's bar. They had been following Dottie during the day, and they saw her meet up with Soda. And when Soda finds out that they saw him meet with Dottie, he gets all upset. And then Clown is with them, and Soda gets upset again because he remembers that Clown was the attorney that helped his wife get sole custody of the kids. So there's a little something going on there. Then she gets up and she's having a day and she doesn't know what to do. So she decides that she's going to go run in the park, and Stephanie never does exercise. So she ran into Joe and they had a few words. So she limps back to the concession stand and gets a Coke and a box of Cracker Jacks. Cracker Jacks don't count as junk food because they're corn and peanuts, which we know to be high in nutrition, and they have a prize inside. I walked the short distance to the water's edge, opened the box of Cracker Jacks, and a goose rushed up to me and pecked me in the knee. I jumped back, but he kept coming at me, honking and pecking. I threw a Cracker Jack as far as I could, and the goose scrambled after it. Big mistake. Turns out tossing a Cracker Jack is the goose equivalent to a party invitation. Suddenly, geese were rushing me from every corner of the park, running on their stupid webbed feet, wagging their fat goose asses, flapping their big goose wings, their beady black goose eyes fixed on my Cracker Jacks. They fought amongst themselves as they charged me, squawking, honking, viciously snapping, jockeying for position. Don't give the geese food. She gets to a car. She gets in an accident because there's spiders in the car. She's got to call the police again because the Bruzy put spiders in her car. Grandma calls her. Mabel is driving them crazy. She's got a house full of coffee cake. So she goes back to Ellen's house, and a Bruzy shows up, and he's threatening her again. She goes to her parents' house. Valerie had a cup of soup at the bank where she was working. She spilled it on the computer, blew the whole system out. She gets fired. So Stephanie recommends that she go be a secretary for Clown. So they go to Dottie's house. They plan to distract Jean Ellen and let Dottie go do what she's got to do, and they take care of the kids. And the babysitting of the kids goes 6 ways to Sunday. So then they go back to the office because Vinny said that they were incompetent and they couldn't get Bender. So they all go to Bender's house. Vinny, Lula, Steffi, Clow. They go to get Bender, and when they get there, Bender has left for the evening, and he's left his house to his friends who are having a adult entertainment party. And there are several adult entertainment activities go on. They go in the house, and everybody's naked. So then, for several books, and you will hear this again, that Ranger's Place is referred to as the Bat Cave. Did I write down the wrong page number? He was standing close and he was smiling. Big date. It's been a strange day. How strange. I told him about Vinny and the porn movies. Ranger tipped his head back and laughed out loud. Not something I see very often. Is this a social visit? I asked. As social as I get. I'm on my way home from a job. Home to the Bat Cave? No one knew where Ranger lived. The address on his driver's license was a vacant lot. Yeah, the Bat Cave, Ranger said. I'd like to see the Bat Cave sometime. Our eyes held. Maybe someday, he said. Looks like you could use some body work on your car. I told him about the spiders and about a Bruzy suggesting to me that at some point he'd rip my heart out. Let me get this straight, Ranger said. You were driving along after being attacked by a flock of geese, and a spider jumped at you and caused you to smash into a parked car. Stop smiling, I said. It isn't funny. I hate spiders. He slung a arm around my shoulders. I know you do, babe. And you're worried about a bruise he will make good on his threat. Yes, you have too many dangerous men in your life. I looked at him sideways. Do you have any suggestions on how I can cut down the list? You could kill a browsie. I raised my eyebrows. No one would mind, Ranger said. He's not a popular guy. So, then Morelli comes by and she goes to Dottie's and all is quiet and she gets nervous. She goes to Dottie's parents' house and Dottie's parents' house, yeah, they were just here. Valerie calls her. Her mom calls her. Valerie is massively depressed about the bank thing. So Stephanie suggests she go works for Clown, and it kind of works out. So she goes and meets Joe for coffee, and when she gets home, well, before she had the coffee, let me back up a little. She comes home and she finds a dead guy, Steven Soda, the guy that's owned the bar and the guy that was threatening her. She finds him dead on her couch watching television. So she calls the cops, and later on she talks to Morelli, and Morelli says the guy was cut in half, brought into her house in duffel bags, and then set up and duct taped back together. So that was pretty scary. She calls Ranger for help. They go track down where Evelyn was staying in a campground, but they just missed them. Don't look at my computer, please. So they do a search of Dottie's house, and they do a search of Evelyn's house and find nothing except the kid's drawing. So we have an interesting conversation with Ranger again. Yes, my apartment's still sealed. I imagine I'll get it back tomorrow. Then what? An involuntary shiver sent my lower back into spasm. My couch had death cooties. I see you're excited about returning, Ranger said. I'll figure it out. Thanks for helping me today. I feel cheated, Ranger said. Usually when I'm with you, a car explodes or a building burns down. Sorry to disappoint. Life is a bitch, Ranger said. He reached out and grabbed me by my jacket sleeves, hauled me across the console, and kissed me. Now you kiss me? I said, what happened when you were in my apartment? You had 3 glasses of wine and you fell asleep. Oh yeah, now I remember. You weren't entirely responsible for the panic, I told him. It was a disastrous day. Babe, you have a lot of disastrous days. You sound like Morelli. Morelli is a good guy and he loves you. And you? Ranger smiled. I was racked with another spine shiver. The porch light went on, and Grandma peered out at us from the living room. Kissing the boyfriend on the porch. Then we have our comedy event of the day. And this can't be missed. Valerie is working for Clown, and she's really enjoying it, and she calls Stephanie. She has an emergency, so Stephanie goes over, and I got out of the car, and Valerie came running from the laundromat side. Over here, she said. He's in the laundromat. Who? Albert. A row of turquoise plastic chairs lined the wall facing the dryers. 2 old women sat side by side in the chairs, smoking, looking at Valerie, taking it all in. No one else was in the room. Where? I said. I don't see him. Valerie sucked in a sob and pointed to one of the large commercial dryers. He's in there. I looked more closely. She was right. Albert Clow was in the dryer. He was all scrunched up with his ass to the round portal glass door, looking like Pooh stuck in the rabbit hole. Is he alive? I asked. Yes, of course he's alive. Valerie crept closer and knocked on the door. At least I think he's alive. What's he doing in there? The lady in the blue sweater thought she lost her wedding ring in the dryer. She said it was wedged in the back of the drum. So Albert went in to get it, but when Then somehow the door slammed shut and we can't get it to open. Geez, why didn't you call the fire department or police? There was a moment in the drum and a muffled noise coming from Clown. The noise sounded like no, no, no. I think he's embarrassed, Valerie said. I mean, how would it look? Suppose somebody took a picture and it got in the paper. No one would ever hire him and I'd be out of a job. No one hires him now, I said. I tried the door. I tried pushing buttons. I looked for a safety latch. I'm scoring a big 0 here, I said. There's something wrong with that dryer, the lady said. Lady the blue sweater said. I'm always getting stuck like that. There's something wrong with the lock. I wrote out a complaint about it last week, but nobody ever does nothing around here. The vending machine with the soap doesn't work either. I really think we need help, I said to Valerie. I think we should call the police. There was more frantic movement and more of the no, no, no. And then there was something that sounded like a fart coming from inside the dryer. Valerie and I took a step back. I think he's nervous, Valerie said. Probably there was some sort of door release on the inside, but Clown was wedged in and couldn't turn to face the latch. I finished around in the bottom of my bag and found some change. I dropped a quarter into the slot, turned the heat down too low, and started the dryer tumbling. Clown's mumbling turned to shrieking, and Clown bounced around some, but for the most part he seemed fairly stable. After 5 minutes, the dryer stopped tumbling. You can't get a heck of a lot for a quarter these days. The door opened easy as anything, and Valerie and I pulled Clown out and stood him up. He was okay. We also have a couple of very big we talk about Stephanie finds there's a guy that's been dressing as a rabbit suit that's been threatening her, and they find a dead guy they go over to Evelyn's house and do some investigating. Things are too quiet. They get close to the vehicle that just showed up in her driveway, and they smell an odor, so they call the cops, and there's a dead guy in the trunk. Ranger asks why she keeps her gun in the cookie jar. And he makes a comment about no police keep their gun in the cookie jar. And she says Rockford. Now, if you're not old enough to know what that means, please go onto YouTube and look up Rockford Files from the 70s, and there you'll see the gentleman. We also have a serious development in our relationships. With, let's see what this is, this one. No. Okay. Yes. Morelli grinned. Monopoly, huh? How could I pass that one up? What time does your grandmother go to bed? The dead guys have broken into her parents' house. She wants to do some surveillance on her parents' house. She wants Joe to come over. She's offered to play Monopoly for 24/7 to do surveillance on the house. After the 11 o'clock news, I'll be over around 12. I fiddled with Bob's ear. What? It's about us. There is no us. It feels like there's some us. This is what I think. I think there's you and me, and sometimes we're together, but there's no us. That feels a little lonely, I said. Don't make this more difficult than it already is, Morelli says, and he goes off. So, we have a huge Ranger Stephanie incident in this book. A romantic incident. And I was thinking of some other things of it occurring other places, but it does what it does. I was thinking of future books. and we're not seeing as much as Lula as I remember, but we've got another 22 books to go yet. So you have to read the book to find out why Abuzi is after Evelyn so badly, why she's running away so badly, why Steven Soder was in so much debt, how Valerie and Klein work out. We'll see that in future books. We'll get to more viewings. We'll have more fun with the funerals. We'll have more fun with Stephanie's car blows up. There's 3, I think, that do it in this book. We'll have to go from book to book to book to worry about Joe's relationship with Stephanie. They have an on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again relationship. And does she get Bender? Or doesn't she? Does she get Paulson? Does she get Laura Manelli? That's by accident. But I hope you are doing these 30 days with me, Janet Evanovich and Stephanie, during these holiday seasons. We've done 1 for the money, 2 for the dough, 3 to get deadly, 4 score, high 5, hot 6, 7 up, and hard 8. And we will be on to the 9s in a day or so. I need some JP Beaumont and I need some JD Robb in my life here. And my co-host is left. And please spread the word. If you enjoy these books as much as I do, please check it out. Please hit the like and subscribe. Help me get those subscribers and have that Christmas miracle. Are you coming back? Are you coming back to say goodbye? She's coming back to say goodbye. So have a good night, and I hope you enjoyed the book as I do. I hope you're reading along with me. It was a long day today. Had a big ceremony to go to. You ever heard of the Battle of Great Bridge? We had to do the 100 and somethings commemoration and do the wreaths and the whole 9 yards. So that was a good time. So please check it out. Hard 8. And don't forget your donuts when you read this book. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I'm paying attention to you. Yes, I am. Don't forget your Krispy Kreme and your donuts. And I did not realize how many McDonald's we did this. In future books, it's all cluck in the bucket. But I didn't realize how many times we visited McDonald's in these books. But that's a new one for you. But have a good night and enjoy.